The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.94 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,332 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $677. Antiwar.com reports, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, U.S. and coalition airstrikes against the northern Syrian city of Manbij have killed at least 20 people, bringing the death toll to the nearly 2-month siege to around 100 civilians. The U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, a Kurdish-dominated faction, has been trying to take Manbij since late May and has entered the city a few times, though they've never gotten too far beyond the entrance as the Islamic State snipers quickly pin them down and the Islamic State counterattacks have repeatedly pushed them back. The value of Manbij is primarily its location along the Tigris River, where it links the Islamic State territory along the Kurdish border in Aleppo to its de facto capital city of Raqqa. If the city and the surrounding area fell, it would greatly weaken the ability of the Islamic State to move fighters between the two regions. Some 50,000 civilians are believed to be in Manbij, which has made the repeated U.S. airstrikes against the city extremely problematic. While the U.S. rarely admits to any civilian deaths, this huge toll once again reflects why the U.S.-backed forces aren't being greeted as liberators when they take a city. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports several protests took place in Cleveland on the opening day of the Republican National Convention, but they remained peaceful. A group in support of Donald Trump took over the official parade route under the banner of America First. Though the application said about 5,000 people would show up, only about 200 were at the rally Monday morning, some toting guns. Dozens of members of the group Bikers for Trump showed up on their motorcycles to provide security for the group called Citizens for Trump. At about the same time, Prophets of Rage, an anti-Trump coalition, staged an anti-poverty rally without a permit on the other side of the city. The Council on American-Islamic Relations, a Muslim civil rights organization, handed out packets of Islamophobin to cure Islamophobia. Packaging, which actually contained chewing gum, says Islamophobin treats blind intolerance and unthinking bigotry and advises patients take 2 and call a Muslim in the morning. More than 1,700 women volunteered to pose nude for an anti-Trump photo shoot set up by New York-based artist Spencer Tunick. He had sought just 100 women to participate in his Everything She Says Means Everything group photographic art project. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports in a last-ditch effort to revive a White House plan to protect up to 4 million immigrants from deportation, the Obama administration on Monday asked the U.S. Supreme Court to rehear a case on which the 8-member court was split 4-4 last month. The June 23rd Supreme Court ruling left in place a lower court ruling that blocked the plan, which has never actually been in effect. In a filing, the Justice Department asked the court to take a second look at the case once it has a full complement of 9 justices. It is unclear when that would be, as the Republicans Republican-controlled U.S. Senate has declined to act on Obama's nominee, appeals court Justice Judge Merrick Garland. As such, even if the Supreme Court was to grant the request, it is unlikely to rule on the case until well after Obama leaves office in January. Acknowledging that the High Court rarely rehears cases, Acting Solicitor General Ian Gershengorn said the immigration case is unique because the court could not in future take another case to resolve the issue if the plan is blocked. Gershengorn said the High Court should be the final arbiter of these matters through a definitive ruling. Obama unveiled his plan in November 2014, which was quickly challenged in court by Republican-governed Texas and 25 other states that argued that Obama overstepped the powers granted to him by the U.S. Constitution by infringing upon the authority of Congress. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Several weeks after the car accident that resulted in the death of his longtime friend Matthew Abrams, local man Keith Bisbee told Onion reporters today that he isn't sure how much longer he should continue using the photo of his deceased friend as his profile picture on Facebook.
People can't really expect me to keep this up forever, right?
Bisbee told reporters he felt like he had done more than his part to preserve the young man's memory. Bisbee added, however, that he had no idea when to go about changing his profile picture.
I'm pretty sure nobody would judge me if I went ahead and changed the photo right now. Matt wouldn't expect me to still have a picture of him up. I mean, I wouldn't expect that of him. You know, I should just do it. Maybe I can go online later tonight when nobody's on. But his girlfriend gets home late from work. I don't really want to seem disrespectful. Maybe I could do it tomorrow morning, or...
At this time, Bisbee has reluctantly changed his profile picture to an image of a gay rights equal sign and is, quote, just waiting to see what happens next.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the numbers here in just a moment, because you are able to call in and bring up whatever is on your mind. Of course, we have stories as well, and one of these has been teased for the last several nights. We'll get into this here in just a second. But tonight it's Darryl.
And Conan.
So,
where is everybody? What happened? It's like, this isn't even my night. I get the call. It's like, come on in, man. Help out. I'm like, where is everybody?
This is actually not even my general night either. Ian is in San Francisco at the DTNE. They will be broadcasting live from there tomorrow. Mark and Ian are in San Fran. They'll be broadcasting from the D10E Wednesday night. And then, of course, Thursday, me and you and Chris will be in studio.
Oh, yeah.
So for the last couple of nights, we've teased the story about the journalist in Alabama who was charged with some felony charges for a call flood incident. And let me give you the information, sort of the backstory, before telling you that the jury, or rather the grand jury, did not indict. So the story comes from Photography Is Not a Crime, and this is dated about a month and a half ago, where they say one day after Photography Is Not a Crime posted a video showing an Alabama cop snatching a camera from a man recording a police station, sparking a call flood from hundreds of angry readers. That same police department retaliated by having the man arrested on felony charges. Wetumpka police claim that Keith Golden, a.k.a. the Bama Camera, disrupted their emergency phone lines by posting their non-emergency telephone number in his video when that was then reposted. The exact charge is interference with public safety communications, which carries a maximum 10-year prison sentence.
Wait a minute. Their non-emergency number. So,
yes.
So at least he didn't put the...
He didn't say 911.
Right. Don't they use...
Which
don't
would
they
be
use,
the emergency number. So he put, like, area code 334, blah, 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 blah.
Right. So it's their non-emergency number. I mean, what do they got? I mean, that's the number people are to use to call in if it's a non-emergency. So, I mean, what argument do they have to fight here?
Well, they got too many telephone calls, Conan. It's the same thing only slightly different because this is telephone calls and not emails, but there was a situation in Houston about a year and a half, might have been 2 years ago now, to where the Houston city attorney gave a cease and desist order to Uber because Uber had posted on their website the email addresses for the members of the Houston City Council because the Houston City Council was prohibiting Uber from operating in the city. And so they said, hey, if you live in Houston or if you're planning on visiting Houston, send an email to the Houston City Council. Let them know that you want Uber to be able to operate.
Which, by the way, is what they always tell us we're supposed to do. Like, if you have a problem with us, if you want some legislation worked on or changed, you need to give us a call and let your legislators.
We never hear from anybody.
I know, exactly.
So that's why we that's why we pass all of this horrible stuff.
And then
stuff.
all of a sudden they get a flood and then they start freaking out.
Right. I don't know how many telephone calls they received in Wetumpka, Alabama, but I do know the situation in Houston. They allege that they received tens of thousands of emails. So, not going to read the entire story about the
read the charge.
The arrest. Again, he was charged with interference with public safety communications.
And they're going to argue that's like yelling fire in a theater. That's what they're going to argue.
No. Yelling fire in a theater is supposedly causing a riot. So completely different charge.
Well, it is different, but it's similar. Whereas this causes a situation where people, if they were in trouble, like there was a fire in a theater, they couldn't get through because all the phone lines are flooded with this nonsense.
Nope, they were calling the non-emergency number. They were not calling the emergency number.
Which is why I brought that one up when I first saw it. Exactly.
So now jumping to the more recent article where the grand jury refused to bring charges against the Bama camera Keith Golden for posting a video of his encounter with the Wetumpka Police Department, which led to his arrest after hundreds of viewers called the department to complain. The grand jury returned a no bill in a host of charges, including a felony for posting the video along with the public telephone number of the police department and other city officials. Golden, under legal advice from his lawyer, has been instructed not to speak with the media until the case is completely closed. He live-streamed the entire incident, where it was quickly picked up by Photography is Not a Crime and other media outlets.
Wait, was this guy, he was Photography That's Not a Crime before this, right? Or he posted on that site?
Photography is Not a Crime picked up the video or picked up the live stream and posted it on their site.
Correct.
This guy was not working for, at least based on the information that I'm seeing, it does not appear that he was working for Photography is Not a Crime.
Yeah, but aren't they a decentralized group, kind of like Cop Block, where everyone is just submitting work to that site? Or do they actually have some kind of a system?
There are people that are, reporters for Photography is Not a Crime.
Right.
This guy was not one of those. He was somebody that had posted a video. He was live streaming something. Somebody from Photography is Not a Crime said, oh, here's an interesting live stream.
Gotcha.
And put it into a post. So I guess you could say that at that point, he was then, some sort of Photography is Not a Crime intern, Photography is Not a Crime intern, but he was never hired or contracted.
Or even paid. Oh, I hate those job systems where the interns never get paid, Darryl. Oh, we gotta.
He was never given an internship. Somebody saw a video that this guy had posted. I don't know what part of this you're not understanding, Conan.
I get it.
I don't know what part of this you're not understanding.
Wait, why don't you think I understand this? I get it.
Based on the ludicrous question that you keep asking me.
I asked you one time. I asked you one time.
And then you reworded it slightly 3 variants.
No, I get it.
But I digress. The video quickly went viral, where officers demanded his identification and wanted to know what he was doing. Things got out of control as the officer who initiated contact stated, "I don't care about your First Amendment rights," and continued to demand identification. The officer then grabbed Golden's camera and turned it off. Luckily, He had set up Bamboozer and was live streaming the entire encounter. The officer then told Golden he was being detained. The officer on scene frisked Golden and released him. But that was not seen on the video, or rather what was not seen on the video is how officers then followed him to his car and pulled him over demanding identification once more, this time without cause as Golden had already identified himself. But this time they wanted his government-issued identification. I'll continue the story here, but want to remind you that you can call in with your thoughts on this or anything else. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype. Username is LRN.FM. The article here from Photography is Not a Crime continues. The actions of Wetumpka police were clearly unconstitutional, which is what led to subscribers of his YouTube channel, as well as Photography is Not a Crime readers, to call flood the department, which is protected under First Amendment rights, where you supposedly have the right to petition government for redress of grievances. Those calls led to the felony charge of interference with public safety communications, even though Golden never made a single telephone call to the police.
How do you like that?
Well, there's more, and I'm sure Golden likes it a lot better now that the grand jury returned the no bill, meaning they refused to bring charges. We'll continue this and your thoughts, 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, call 1-800-958-5345. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU Online degrees, call 1-800-958-5345. That's 1-800-958-5345.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot price. Spot price is market price, what gold or silver actually costs on the exchange. Regular people looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything. Refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot price until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must act now. Go online to realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. That's realpricesilver.com. realpricesilver.com. Limit one offer per household, 50 United States only.
In a statement this week, famed actor and television icon Dick Van Dyke confessed to being the Zodiac Killer, responsible for terrorizing Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The 85-year-old actor, known for his television and film appearances in classics such as Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins, and The Dick Van Dyke Show, said he committed the Zodiac murders but also killed over 37 additional people. Van Dyke said, quote, "It was unbelievably easy for me to go kill someone, come back to Burbank, and get on set. It was actually part of the fun to see if I could book a flight and make it back in time." Van Dyke's confession is corroborated by several eyewitnesses describing the Zodiac Killer as, quote, "a gangly, loose-limbed man with a toothy grin and a spring in his step." In other news, the open dialogue two Americans are having about race is pretty hilarious. A husband is experimenting with an open marriage, and a f***ing loser is at a movie all by himself. This episode of The Onion Week in Review was paid for, funded, and entirely created by The Onion, and in no way benefited from cheap, thankless viewers like you. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark at freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight is Darryl
and Conan.
And we're telling you about the guy in Alabama. The Alabama Camera is the nickname he was given. His actual name is Keith Golden. He had an encounter with the police. Still not sure what happened that prompted him to pull out his camera to begin recording the police. But they came over, started demanding identification, and he knew his rights. And the one police officer said, "I don't care about your First Amendment rights," and continued demanding ID. Cop snatched a camera out of his hand. Luckily, he had Bamboozer set up on his cell phone and was live streaming the event. And, well, he happened to have had the telephone number, the non-emergency telephone number for the Wetumpka Police Department somewhere in the description on either the Bamboozer or YouTube somewhere. And a bunch of people decided to call the police department. And, well, the police tried to charge Mr. Golden with felony interference with interference with public safety communications. The grand jury, luckily for Mr. Golden, wound up saying there's not probable cause to bring this charge, especially given that Mr. Golden never made a single telephone call.
Right. You know, I find it really refreshing that this guy, he just got out of the military, 23 years, and this is in his description. Just so he's only been doing this for a year, but he was just, he's just holding these guys accountable. And I think that this is in Alabama. This isn't Keene, New Hampshire, where everyone's doing it. I think this is really a sign of the times. People are sick and fed up with their First Amendment rights and a bunch of others being dragged through the mud. And now that everyone has cameras on their phone, it's really easy to record these guys and hold them accountable, whether it be standing across the street when during a traffic stop or during a DUI checkpoint, or just there's any number of situations where you can record these guys, and you can see how pissed off they get, which really shows that hey, are you guys doing anything wrong? If you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to fear, right? That's what they always tell us.
That's what they tell us.
If we're not breaking the law, then we don't have anything to fear.
But they don't want their words turned against them. We'll get back into this article here in just a moment, but first, your calls. We've got Neil calling in from Arizona. Neil, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey guys, I've talked to you again. I think that this. I talked to you before. I think that this whole situation is outrageous. I would hope and pray that somewhere out there in the newsland there's somebody listening about this story that's a really good attorney that would get a hold of this man and represent him free of charge and end up being as popular as Johnny Cochran was, because this guy needs to sue the hell out of the officers, the department, and the city and or state and county that they work for.
And make an example out of them. Tell them that,
yes,
look,
do.
we the people will bite back. You keep stepping on us and messing with us, we're going to bite back and we're going to make you suffer. The only problem with this is, of course, they can sue these people all day long, but who's going to really suffer? And that's going to be the taxpayers.
Yeah, the police officers that arrested him unjustly, they're not going to be personally held accountable.
They probably won't even be fired. They probably won't even be reprimanded. They'll be like, just don't do it again, guys. Just watch it. Just watch it with those guys with the cameras. They're always going to get us. But no, if any money is lost and it goes to this man Golden, it's going to come from the taxpayers, and that is the worst part about it, because the actual defilers of this aren't actually suffering the consequences for their actions.
Well, yes, that is kind of sad, but what other choice do you have? I mean, they should take it out of the police department's budget.
I agree.
Lay those guys off, or until that fine is paid back, but they'll never get their job
right, and
back.
that's something that you need to contact legislators and try to get them to introduce such legislation. But I guarantee you, if they do, the police unions will come out in force to oppose that bill.
Or whenever Wetumpka is actually preparing their yearly budget, you have to be there at the silly budget meeting and say, oh, by the way, remember that when you guys got sued and you lost the city $60,000? Yeah, we don't want you to get that money next year, because you owe the city and the taxpayers that $60,000 that you lost because of your idiocy. But that takes some guy going to the budget meeting, and that's a hard thing to do, because these things are painful.
Yeah, I mean, I realize in the long run it comes out of the taxpayers, but you got no other choice but to stand up for your rights, and that's just the way it's going to turn out. But I mean, it's better than just laying down and letting the cops walk all over you.
Yep, I agree.
No, and I don't think that either me or Conan were suggesting that he lay down and let the cops walk all over him. We were just pointing out that if there is, some sort of monetary compensation going his way, it will not come out of the pockets of the police that violated his rights. Neil, thank you for the call. Let's go to Ricky. Ricky, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Brother Darryl, Brother Conan, good evening.
How you doing, guy?
I'm doing okay, as well to be expected. Darryl.
Ricky.
Hey, Darryl. Referring to the caller that called in yesterday after me, and I am from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Now, the caller that called in.
Refresh my memory, because I barely remember.
Greg from, he says he was from Huntington.
Okay, and what did he call in about?
Well, he called in right after I did. And he called in, said he was invited. He was invited. And first of all, he calls in concerning he said he was a podcaster.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember this now, and both Ian and myself were confused because nobody had invited him to call in, unless it was the same sort of invitation that we give to everybody of you can call in with your thoughts to 855-450-FREE, or you can Skype into username LRN.FM.
Very important that he Skyped. Now, my name is Ricky, and I am from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Now, a few points I would like to make. Now, first off, the individual who said he called in many times, seems to me he doesn't know the difference between New Hampshire or Maine, or where you guys happen to be broadcasting from, first off.
Yes, we're in Keene, New Hampshire, broadcasting to the world.
We're not Vermont, and we're not Maine, and we're not Massachusetts. Very, 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 very different.
Of course. Now, another point that was very important to start off is that he mentioned to Ian that maybe you could ask me a question as a black man. Now, to my experience, anyone...
Hold your thought, Ricky. Hold your thought, and we'll bring you back This is Free Talk Live, and your calls are welcome. 855-450-FREE, and Skype in, username LRN.FM.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll get back to your calls here in just a moment. But have you heard about all of the insecurities with online exchanges? Does MT Gox ring a bell? Well, the safest way to protect your digital assets like cryptocurrencies is to keep them in your own digital wallets. Finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy, exchange, and even trade your digital assets while keeping them safe. I've used it. It's very easy. Shapeshift.io. There's no account needed. They don't even ask for an email address. Shapeshift.io has my unqualified endorsement, and it allows you to, change like 30-something different cryptocurrencies in and amongst themselves. So if you've got Ether and you want Bitcoin, Shapeshift.io. You've got Dogecoin and you want Ether or Litecoin or Bitcoin. Again, there's about 36 different cryptocurrencies that you can exchange very easily. Shapeshift.io. Let's go back to Ricky calling in from, and he'll say it if I don't, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Not that it really makes any difference. But Ricky, you're back on Free Talk Live, and you were trying to make a point. You were almost to the point of making your point about the caller Greg that called into the show last night. You were confused about his call.
Well, because he drew attention to his race as a black man. To my experience, first off, any man that draws attention to his race as a black man is already a racist. Now, second of all, as far as his rights that he says that he has as a member of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if that is the case, he makes reference to the Second Amendment. Now, if he would be a member of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, he would have to refer to Section 7 under the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. Now, also, he made reference to the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. If he were a member of Pennsylvania, to reinforce that right, he would have to give reference to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, 1968.
Hold on. So you keep saying if he were a member of Pennsylvania, how does one become a member of Pennsylvania, and is that different from being a resident of Pennsylvania?
You need to be a resident and pay taxes, property taxes.
And that makes one a member of Pennsylvania?
As long as you pay taxes into the Commonwealth, whether it be property or other taxes, and you are a resident, a legal resident, in other words, you live here, you then can exercise those rights.
Wait, is this your definition, your idea, or is this an actual?
No, this is pretty much
legal.
Ricky's definitions of things.
No, this is that, gentlemen. Now, Ian asked him about open carrying. Ian realized what's going on with this man, and he pointed out. He says, "Well, we're back in the dark ages here, and we need to have a conceal and carry permit and all of that and stuff." Now, you yourself, Darryl, I know, look that up under Section 21. And see, this individual is referring to the United States Constitution. And for it to have any validity in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if you are a resident, you have to give reference to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Well, I don't think you have to give reference to anything. I believe that people have rights because they have rights, and various documents either recognize or don't recognize those rights. Ricky, thanks for the call. A lot more coherent than normal. Let's go to Skype, where we've got none other than Mr. Ademo Freeman calling in from the Republican National Convention. Ademo, thank you for calling in. Welcome to Free Talk Live.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I just want to make one thing a little clear, because I don't want to be misconstrued with the Republicans. I'm not at the convention as like a convention attendee. I'm more in the streets.
You're in the vicinity of the convention.
That's right. I'm
as a reporter.
Right now.
Yeah, I don't know how many people would get that confused that you were actually there supporting those knuckleheads.
That's right. And knuckleheads are right. Today, me and the crew of the Cop Block Network have gone out. There's about 6 or 7 of us now.
Any handcuffs involved today?
Excuse me, no, there wasn't. But there was acts of aggression. And there were many fallacies that were smashed. Not only was I aggressed upon by an individual who tore up my sign that said, F your badge, and on the other side it said you don't need a badge to provide protection to people, but you do need one to protect the government. And so one Republican, a convention attendee, decided to rip that in half, and cameras surrounded us. We had a conversation, and not only did I not call the police, nor did they help me, even though there was about 20 of them standing within 10 feet of me, but the man conceded my point of people should have more options in their service of protection and reimbursed me for the sign that he damaged.
Interesting.
So win-win-win here on the streets of the RNC for highlighting that the police don't actually protect you, the police aren't needed to protect you, and that we can mitigate our disputes on our own. So the live stream of that video can be seen at copblock.org/RNC2006. Yet there's many people streaming down here, so it did lag, and I hope to produce a more polished video when I return to a stationary location.
So have you seen any more protest or counter-protest or counter-protest?
All of it's going on. Today was double what yesterday was. Alex Jones himself was ran out of Cleveland Public Square under assault by anti-protesters of his pro-Donald Trump message. He was, from what I've heard from other people who are closer, punched in the face, actually. And then I do have on video him being huddled around cops and being ran to a car and driven out of the immediate area. So that's unfortunate that the protest went to that level. That also made the police come out in a much higher force. Several police on horses, bicycles, motorbikes, carrying MP5s, and even what I believe to be tear gas canisters.
Did you get any footage of the nude protesters?
I did not see any nude protesters today.
That was yesterday morning at about 6 a.m.
Oh, too early in the morning, and you were arrested in the back of a car, too.
Yeah, well, that was too early in the morning, and then, we didn't get down here yesterday until about 11 a.m., and that must have been over by then.
Early bird, Ademo. You got to wake up early to get some of these guys.
I didn't know about it. I would have been around. I was actually picking up Josh from Iowa City Cop Block from the bus station at 7 a.m., so I was actually in the city just a few blocks away. I must have missed it.
And did I just hear a horse walk behind you?
Yeah, I apologize that I am actually live and on the streets. And yes, about half a dozen, or actually a dozen, sheriffs and horses just collided by as if they were selling Budweiser beer or something.
Now, have they used the horses as weapons against any of the protesters or demonstrators yet?
So Cleveland has been known to do that, and I did video some of that last year during the Brelo protests here in Cleveland, but they have not yet. What I see the police doing here more is utilizing the bicycle, and so they use the bicycle as shields to create a perimeter around areas that they want. And so, like, if they want to keep me safe, they'll form a circle around me with their bikes, and then they'll say move, and they'll use them as, like, sticks to push people back, as if they had just a baton or something. And so that seems to be the MO of the police here. And so to further label what happened here today, there was a Black Lives Matter protest that was also in line with a West Baptist Church protest. And so obviously those two groups ran off into marches and tried to run into each other, and the police were messing with that for a little bit of time earlier in this evening. But as of now, things are a little calm. It seems like most people might be charging batteries, grabbing dinner. But, the freaks come out at night, and that's what we're looking at, about dusk around here, and we'll be on the streets the rest of the evening.
Not sure if you've got any more. Hang on if you do, and your calls and thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveatpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveatpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot price. Spot price is market price, what gold or silver actually costs on the exchange. Regular people looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything. Refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot price until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must act now. Go online to realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. That's realpricesilver.com. realpricesilver.com. Limit one offer per household. 50 United States only.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. That's 855 450 3733. We're talking to Cop Block co-founder Ademo Freeman, who is on the streets. Literally, he is currently on the streets of Cleveland near the Republican National Convention.
With the horses clippity-clopping behind him.
Yep, and he's giving us some updates on things that he's seen, and I pulled up an article trying to find out how many arrests there have been or if there have been any arrests. And what I'm seeing is that police arrested a woman on an outstanding warrant, not saying what the warrant was for in the article. And Sunday evening, a man was arrested and charged with petty theft for allegedly trying to steal a police officer's gas mask. Otherwise, they
Which
say...
is prohibited by patrons here, just so you know.
What's prohibited?
The gas mask. So cops can have them, which is probably what I'm saying the police are creating the incentive to steal those things since they prohibited them from the events.
Yes.
Along with coolers and other, ridiculous items. Helmets even. Bicycle helmets. I've seen them taking them.
They say They say that they've confiscated a few prohibited items, including a knife and a slingshot.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was around there for the slingshot. I haven't seen too many arrests for any protesting or anything like that. And what's awkward is that, I didn't see them grab the guy that punched Alex Jones. The police never even made a step towards me when a man destroyed my property. And we're talking about crimes with victims again for those listening. And if the police are here to protect you, then those are the actions that should most certainly be acted upon police. And what you listed off, that warrant, who knows if that's even protest related. The knife thing, I don't know how far that goes or what that issue is.
That was somebody trying to enter the secure zone.
Yeah, but see, you can walk in. I was just in the secure zone a moment ago. It ain't as secure as they're making it sound. And even yesterday when I was detained, the justification for searching my bag against my consent was because I was in the secure zone. Again, I have no RNC credentials. I did not buy a ticket. I am not a delegate, and I should technically have no reason to be in the quote-unquote secure zone. But there's no one stopping you. You can literally walk into it in some parts.
Right. Yeah, and I know that I was in the Minneapolis area back in 2008. Not that I wanted anything to do with the Republican convention, but Ron Paul had a rally going on across town. I was at that event, and it was interesting watching the news to where, seeing just these guys dressed up like stormtroopers, like hitting their batons against their riot shields, pinning people in, and then just arresting everybody in a certain area. And then outside of the Target Center, where Ron Paul's event was going, the police literally had their riot shields and their riot mask piled up, and they were leaning against the columns of the building. So just a huge difference between the horrible event outside the RNC and then the peaceful event over at the Ron Paul rally.
So what you're saying is libertarianism in this particular event did not represent the usual anarchy that they say that it will be if. So what is that? Am I getting the correct vibe from you? No anarchy? No anarchy at the Ron Paul event?
There might have been some anarchists that were there, but there wasn't chaos, if that's what you're alluding to.
Well, I'm not alluding to it. I know the truth. I'm talking about the people who fear the oncoming libertarian wave if it ever gets here.
And Ademo, we're getting a lot of background noise from you, so I'm going to thank you for the call. Yep. Thank you for the call, Ademo, and be sure, call back in tomorrow night. Actually, no, you can't call in tomorrow because tomorrow Ian and Mark are live from San Francisco at the D10E.
How much longer is the convention?
I believe it ends on Thursday. So, Ademo, please give us a call back Thursday with the final update. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts to 855-450-FREE. We've got Tim calling in from Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi, Darryl. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. And good to hear Conan there too. And my fellow conspiratorial thinker, I suppose. Yeah, that might be the right term. But no, we were talking a while back about the United States Code and the Code of Federal Regulations, and I was looking at. Actually, that's not the subject I called about. I wanted to talk about Cop Block first because you had the co-founder on there. But I wonder if he ever met the guy from the city where I used to live, or I used to live north of it in California. The guy who was basically the police officer had his gun drawn and was threatening him essentially when he was saying, "What are you, some kind of a constitutionalist?" He asked him, and I wondered if he ever spoken with the guy, but of course he's not there now. Can't talk to him. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Tor also. You guys are familiar with what Tor is, right?
Yeah, Tor is the Onion router. It's a program that you need to be able to access what they call the dark web.
Or surf anonymously if you want to.
Yeah, it also allows you to do that, but you cannot get to the dark web without using Tor or something very similar. I think there might be one or two other things that you can use, but most of the TLD, the TLD, the top level domain, on the Tor browser, it's .onion. So you have to have the Tor browser to visit a .onion website, and that's, the deep web stuff mostly is .onion.
Unless you go to the Onion newspaper or something. I'm kidding. Anyway, no.
Yeah, completely different.
No, I know. It was sort of a joke, but anyway, no. I think that I'm not sure if something's going on, but I think Tor has been kind of well, from my end anyway. I've been trying to access some. I have Tor on my phone. I have it. I run it through my phone, and for some reason I'm not able to use it. I'm not able to even get anywhere near getting close to using it. Everything is saying that it's. They're saying every time I try to get on there that it's too many. It's a proxy error and all kinds of different things and too many redirects. And I'm thinking, how is that happening? I'm clicking on, so to speak, the highlighted thing in an email or something like that, or I'm trying to go to a website. Somebody sent me something, and I'm trying to go to the link.
I don't know. This is not Tech Assistance Live. It's Free Talk Live.
Clear the cake in the settings. And,
you mean the cache?
And see what happened. No, the cake with the frosting on it. And that is
CACHE is pronounced cache. Tim, thank you for the call.
Other than that, actually uninstall it and install it back on there. I mean, these apps don't last forever. A little update here or there, and before you know it, it's full of bugs. And sometimes a nice clean reboot is the way to do these things.
What you could also do is contact Hillary Clinton and have her wipe the server for you, and then she'll go get a cloth. Because do you remember when she was asked the question about did you wipe the server, and she said, "You mean with a cloth?"
Oh God.
Yeah. So let's jump back there. There's a little bit more to the story that we started the show on about the journalist down in Wetumpka, Alabama, who was arrested and initially charged with a felony for interfering with public safety communications because he posted the non-emergency telephone number for the Wetumpka Police Department, as well as the telephone numbers for some city officials. Posted that online. I believe in the description of a video that he was live streaming where he had an interaction with the police. And, well, the grand jury came back with no bill, meaning that not enough evidence to bring these charges, not enough evidence to give reasonable cause to bring the charges. And the ACLU has actually weighed in on the case here for Mr. Golden, a.k.a. the Bama Camera. ACLU expressed grave concern and an unprecedented act of charging someone who has never made any telephone calls to the police department. Again, this man was charged with interference with public safety communications, and he never even called the police department himself. He just posted the telephone number. The Wetumpka Herald newspaper also weighed in, saying the police department made the boneheaded move of digging themselves a deeper hole to climb out of by charging Golden. That is an exact quote from the Wetumpka Herald Police Department. The backlash was so strong that police were forced to delete their Facebook page as internet users began to complain about how the incident was handled and giving 1-star ratings. Unfortunately, the FBI has not taken the same cue. If you go to the FBI's Facebook page, you can leave a rating. Currently, they're averaging 1.1. This is Free Talk Live, Hour 2, coming up next.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, aka Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $4 higher at $1,331 per ounce. Silver is 8 cents lower at $20 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $671 US. Silver has taken a dip but is holding a $20 per ounce floor. Buy on the dips. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.94 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,332 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $677. Antiwar.com reports, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, U.S. and coalition airstrikes against the northern Syrian city of Manbij have killed at least 20 people, bringing the death toll to the nearly 2-month siege to around 100 civilians. The U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, a Kurdish-dominated faction, has been trying to take Manbij since late May and has entered the city a few times, though they've never gotten too far beyond the entrance as the Islamic State snipers quickly pin them down and the Islamic State counterattacks have repeatedly pushed them back. The value of Manbij is primarily its location along the Tigris River, where it links the Islamic State territory along the Kurdish border in Aleppo to its de facto capital city of Raqqa. If the city and the surrounding area fell, it would greatly weaken the ability of the Islamic State to move fighters between the two regions. Some 50,000 civilians are believed to be in Manbij, which has made the repeated U.S. airstrikes against the city extremely problematic. While the U.S. rarely admits to any civilian deaths, this huge toll once again reflects why the U.S.-backed forces aren't being greeted as liberators when they take a city. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports several protests took place in Cleveland on the opening day of the Republican National Convention, but they remained peaceful. A group in support of Donald Trump took over the official parade route under the banner of America First. Though the application said about 5,000 people would show up, only about 200 were at the rally Monday morning, some toting guns. Dozens of members of the group Bikers for Trump showed up on their motorcycles to provide security for the group called Citizens for Trump. At about the same time, Prophets of Rage, an anti-Trump coalition, staged an anti-poverty rally without a permit on the other side of the city. The Council on American Islamic Relations, a Muslim civil rights organization, handed out packets of Islamophobin to cure Islamophobia. Packaging, which actually contained chewing gum, says Islamophobin treats blind intolerance and unthinking bigotry and advises patients take 2 and call a Muslim in the morning. More than 1,700 women volunteered to pose nude for an anti-Trump photo shoot set up by New York-based artist Spencer Tunick. He had sought just 100 women to participate in his Everything She Says Means Everything group photographic art project. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports in a last-ditch effort to revive a White House plan to protect up to 4 million immigrants from deportation, the Obama administration on Monday asked the U.S. Supreme Court to rehear a case on which the 8-member court was split 4-4 last month. The June 23rd Supreme Court ruling left in place a lower court ruling that blocked the plan, which has never actually been in effect. In a filing, the Justice Department asked the court to take a second look at the case once it has a full complement of 9 justices. It is unclear when that would be, as the Republican-controlled U.S. Senate has declined to act on Obama's nominee, Appeals Court Justice Judge Merrick Garland. As such, even if the Supreme Court was to grant the request, it is unlikely to rule on the case until well after Obama leaves office in January. Acknowledging that the High Court rarely rehears cases, Acting Solicitor General Ian Gershengorn said the immigration case is unique because the court could not in future take another case to resolve the issue if the plan is blocked. Gershengorn said the High Court should be the final arbiter of these matters through a definitive ruling. Obama unveiled his plan in November 2014, which was quickly challenged in court by Republican-governed Texas and 25 other states that argued that Obama overstepped the powers granted to him by the U.S. Constitution by infringing upon the authority of Congress. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Flash flood warning is in effect, and authorities are asking people to stay indoors and avoid the roads.
We are urging everyone to seek shelter. Remember, being carried away by this storm is very different from the joy of being carried by Bogdan and seeing for miles from his shoulders.
The typhoon is predicted to hit the South Carolina coast the hardest. Chad Williams is live on the scene now. The wind looks pretty strong out there, Chad.
Barely. But it is nothing compared to Bogdan.
So people in South Carolina aren't worried?
No, they laugh at the storm. They are piling sandbags to stop the water. Would mere sand stop Bogdan?
But there is real danger. Authorities say that 3 people were killed outside of Charleston when their car was washed into a ravine.
And in that we have proof. The storm has failed the true test of strength. Bogdan's greatest power is his gentle heart. Bogdan would never hurl a car full of people into a ravine.
So from what you're seeing out there, real strength lies within?
Yes. This storm, like all else, is weaker than Bogdan.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2. In studio tonight is Darryl.
And Conan.
Where is Ian? You may be asking. Well, Ian and Mark are both in San Francisco at the D10E conference. They will be broadcasting live from there tomorrow. So be sure to tune in to that. Same Free Talk Live time, same Free Talk Live channels. You can find all of the listening options online at freetalklive.com. We're talking about the police, not the band. The band is not back together that I'm aware of. We're talking about the actual police, the ones that wear the badges, the ones that will throw handcuffs on you for, violating anything that's written down by some politicians somewhere.
The thin blue line, and by the way, I have a problem with. When's the last time you saw an officer in blue? And if it is blue, it's so dark that it's more black than blue.
I honestly don't pay attention to the fashion trends of the police.
Even here in quaint little Keene, our officers are walking around in black. Military
honestly could not tell you what color clothing the Keene police wear. Couldn't tell you.
So I want this thin blue line thing to go away. It needs to be the thin black line, but that would be confused with the Black Lives Matter, and then people would be confused. They wouldn't know what to think. They wouldn't know what to post on their Facebook posts or change their icons to. By the way, you put a meme up today, and this is something I've been thinking about all week, which bothers me, and it really shines a spotlight on the issue. And it goes like this. if when you see Black Lives Matter and it bothers you, but it doesn't bother you like All Lives Matter bothers you,
or Blue Lives Matter,
but then you see Blue Lives Matter and and that doesn't bother you like All Lives Matter bothers you, or Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matters, then that's where the real problem is that you got to get your head on right, because
the operative word, the offensive word is black.
Yeah, the big argument yesterday that they were really that the Black Lives Matters supporters were really throwing down was that when a white guy comes out and says all lives matters, which by the way I do, and I really really mean it, but a lot of people who say it, I don't think they really understand. When Glenn Beck is talking about all lives matter, he doesn't really get it.
Right, and we had talked about this because there's a Reddit thread, or actually there's a subreddit called Explain It To Me Like I'm 5.
Yeah.
And somebody has a brilliant response about the Black Lives Matter thing on there. And I'll not recap that at all, but I'll explain it slightly differently. It would be akin to going to a rally for cancer research.
For breast cancer.
And saying, or just cancer in general, and saying, well, diabetes matters too.
Yeah. Or going to a breast cancer rally.
All diseases matter.
Going to a breast cancer rally and then saying, well, colon cancer matters too.
Right.
And it's like that's not what this is about. This is, we're dealing with this one subject. But when we say it, because I consider myself colorblind.
Right.
I judge the book by its contents, not by its cover. And I get it. All lives matter, but all lives matter really means something to me. It's like, no, just be colorblind, everyone. Treat each other equal and actually judge people according to their merit and not according to, what clothes they're wearing or what background they come from or what color their skin is.
But you have to acknowledge that not everybody is colorblind.
Which is the problem.
Right, and that's the problem. And a lot of times, people that are less well off wind up being targeted by police. And
they're easy marks.
Right, they're easy marks. And a lot of time, somebody's driving around in a beat up car and they've got more, pigmentation in their skin than you or I do. The police are more likely to be like, oh yeah, this is somebody that I can extort for some money.
Yep.
So speaking of extorting people for money, you've actually got an article about what would it be like if we weren't extorting people for money, and how do we get to that society?
This is actually an older article. I'm sure some of our listeners have probably read it when it first came out. It's a year and a half old. It's from Rolling Stone.
It doesn't matter when it came out because it's still relevant. Very relevant.
Yes, that's why it's popped up again, because it is relevant.
We're definitely more of an issues-oriented show than a news of the day.
I'm actually surprised though that it was published in Rolling Stone. I mean, I know that they have their leanings. And actually, the author of this, it sounds like he might be skirting the kind of libertarianism agenda, but he's maybe has his own leftist leanings himself. So I'm not sure where exactly he's standing, but we'll get to it because we have
go ahead and jump into the article.
Okay, so of course this was in response to the Michael Brown and Eric Garner killings a year and a half ago. The number one, and it is entitled 6 Ideas for a Cop-Free World. And a lot of people think about that and like, no, it's not possible. I mean, what happens when someone robs me? What happens when, someone rear ends me and I've got to get that police claim so that I can give to my insurance company? And so, I mean, it is kind of a lofty. They are kind of lofty ideas, and it does require people to be responsible and take care of them, take care of their issues, and a lot of people just can't get past that.
Certainly, and as we heard from Ademo last hour, who's near the Republican National Convention, he's not at the convention, he's not attending the convention, but he's near the convention as media, documenting things that are going on.
Yeah, he was accosted right in front of the cops by another civilian.
Said he was accosted right in front of the cops. Not only did the cops not do anything, but he ultimately wound up coming to an agreement with the guy that destroyed his sign.
But which, by the way, for a lot of people, that's really, really hard. They just haven't. First of all, a lot of people haven't ever done it. It's like, I have a problem with somebody. Maybe they're doing something crazy in their yard that bothers me, and the first thing they're doing is getting on the lines and calling the cops to take care of it for them, instead of just walking across the street and talking to their neighbor or talking to the person that bumped into him and is giving them a hard time. It's like almost like a lost art. People don't know how to deal with each other, and so you just call the authority figures. And so when you say something like, "Hey, you know what? We really don't need cops. We really, really don't." They're like, "No, that's what foreign land are you from? I need cops to take care of me. It's a dangerous world out there." And it's like, yeah, well, you could take care of these things on your own.
Yeah, and then sometimes people will say, well, if we don't have cops, it'll be like the Wild West. Well, actually, one, the quote-unquote Wild West wasn't that wild, and two, the Wild West had this thing called a sheriff.
And everyone was armed, by the way, as well.
Right. That's why it wasn't that wild, because, the whole thing of, wait a second, I've actually got to deal with other human beings.
And if we were to have cops, maybe we can actually have them and utilize them for real crimes. Like someone just murdered my person and, my neighbor or my roommate.
And
that would be a reason to have a cop. But giving people tickets and, protecting, I guess the Republican convention, they would need someone to, prevent protesters from burning the building down. But that's when you hire security.
Right. You could have private security that secures your building.
Which, by the way, outnumber police in this country by a big margin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So let's jump into this article exploring ways to have a cop-free world.
Number one solution to doing away with cops and what we do without them. Number one, unarmed mediation and intervention teams. Unarmed but trained people, often formerly violent offenders themselves, patrolling their neighborhoods to curb violence right where it starts. This is where, and it exists, this is real and it exists in cities from Detroit to Los Angeles. Stop believing that police are heroes because they are the only ones willing to get in the way of knives or guns. So are the members of groups like Cure Violence, who were the subject of the 2012 documentary The Interrupters. There are also feminist models that specially organize patrols of local women who reduce everything from catcalling and partner violence to gang murders in places like Brooklyn. While police forces have benefited from military-grade weapons and equipment, some of the most violent neighborhoods have found success through peace rather than war. Call us with your opinions, 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
And also on Skype, username is LRN.FM.
Well, she's sitting curled up on my lap as we speak. Beautiful Bella's my long-haired Dachshund. She was thrown out of a pickup truck going 30 miles an hour, and she disappeared into the woods with the wild animals, boars and coyotes. About 4 weeks later, she just appeared and she was a mess. Her fur was matted. She scratched almost nonstop. My friend suggested that I order this stuff called Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com. 859-428-1000.
She gobbles it up. She has been itch-free ever since, and her fur is gorgeous. Anyone out there who has a rescue dog, start them on a Dinovite diet for at least a 90-day period. They bond better with the people who take good care of them. They are going to be your buddy for a very, very long time.
859-428-1000. 859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot price. Spot price is market price, what gold or silver actually costs on the exchange. Regular people looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything. Refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot price until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must act now. Go online to realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. That's realpricesilver.com. realpricesilver.com. Limit one offer per household, 50 United States only.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. That's 855-450-3733. We're exploring ideas for a cop-free world. And I know that there are some people that think that technology will wind up replacing the need for governments or replacing the need for police. And, well, part of that is what has motivated the people at Jaxx. First and foremost, however, they are a wallet for storing cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin, but also Ether and DAO tokens. That's Jaxx, Jaxx. You can get the wallet at jaxx.io or find it in the App Store, be it the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. All data in the Jaxx wallet is stored client-side, and they never have access to your funds. You can use it cross-platform, and their sleek design means smooth functionality on your phone or computer. It's easy to back up and recover funds if need be. And here's a little insider information. The ultimate aim of Jaxx is to build you a digital command center for your life, giving you control over coins, currencies, contracts, identity, and more. It's control in the palm of your hand. Jaxx.io. That's JAXX.io.
So we just covered number one, unarmed mediation and intervention teams, which is a great idea when the actual security of your neighborhood is being provided by people who know a thing or two. And they probably actually live on that street.
Right. So we're talking about not just some sort of neighborhood watch sort of thing that's just a bunch of volunteers. We're talking about professional services being provided. And you mentioned Detroit. They've got the Threat Management Center, where I think the guy that runs that is retired law enforcement of some sort. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned, I think, Los Angeles. I know we've talked about some of the Seattle suburbs, the wealthier suburbs of Seattle, and one would think that the wealthier suburbs would not have a problem with police not wanting to respond, but actually the stories that we were reading is because most of the offenses there are property damage, the police are busy going after people for things that can wind up making them some money. So, finding people that have drugs on them, or people that are using drugs or selling drugs, or speeders, things that bring in revenue. So the police are not worried about the property crimes or the property damage. So there's private companies that have sprung up and said, we will patrol your neighborhoods. And frequent patrols do wind up deterring people from going in to commit an offense because it means they're more likely to get caught.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how rich people are always, sending their kids to private school, and they're hiring their own security, and they're doing this and that all in their own pocket, and they're paying taxes for the rest of society. You'd think if anyone was pissed off about the tax system, the taxes that are theft, you'd think it would be rich people, but and I think some of them really have woken up to the idea, but I guess it really doesn't hurt them as much as it hurts me. But these guys are rich, and they know what they're about.
A lot of times, if you have enough money, you can hire somebody to find all of the loopholes that allows you to then lower your tax burden.
Yes, this is true. Unless you're middle or upper middle class, or where you don't really make enough.
That's why I said if you're rich enough.
Yeah, one of the 1%ers, or at least starting to get into that realm. So I really like this idea. It starts with your neighborhood watch, guys actually volunteering and just keeping an eye out for your neighbor's property, and maybe doing say you've got some break-ins, because this happens every now and then. Someone will just pick your neighborhood, and before you know it, 3 houses have been broken into, and then neighborhood watch starts up, and they usually catch these guys. These scare them off,
right?
But then, then of course, if you're dealing with really violent neighborhoods, you actually might need to hire or compensate these people in some way or another.
So what's number 2?
Number 2, which is my favorite, what you were just alluding to, which is the most important on this list: the decriminalization of almost every crime. What is considered criminal is something too often debated only in critical criminology seminars and too rarely in the mainstream. Violent offenders count for a fraction of the 11 to 14 million arrests every year, and yet there is no real conversation about what constitutes a crime and what permits society to put a person in chains and in a cage.
I'll tell you what constitutes a crime. Anything that is an offense against the king.
Or the king's men, the king's men who actually got together and petitioned the king to create a law that might benefit them.
And then the king decrees, yes, I want this to be against my laws as well.
And by the way, we'll slap a nice fancy fine on top of it, so that we, the king and the king's men, are compensated for our time taking care of your business.
Right. So the things that actually have victims, which should rightly be illegal or unlawful,
right?
And not necessarily even violent, because somebody could come spray paint the side of your house.
They could rob my house.
And, you personally were not aggressed against and the punched in the face thinking of aggression, but you were wronged. Your property was damaged.
Correct.
There is a victim.
Yeah, key word, there have been damages, whether it's to my person or to my property or to my livelihood. This is money out of my pocket, and that's where crime begins. But if it's something that you just don't like that I'm doing, I'm smoking some weed, or I'm dancing around naked in my yard, or maybe I got some chickens.
That's the big thing now, to where police and zoning enforcement are going after people for farming in their yards in residential day. Or you're supposed to have grass in your front yard. What is this monstrosity? It's a tomato plant. You are not allowed to have that where it's visible from the street. It says so here on page 4, paragraph 3.
Wait. Is this after they raided my house and collected all my tomato plants because they thought they were weed? And then when they realized it wasn't weed, then they get me on the I was growing tomatoes in my front yard? Because
I've not heard of them actually stealing tomato plants thinking it was weed. I did read to where they raided somebody And it turned out that they had okra.
Yeah, and okra doesn't look anything like weed. It doesn't. It's a big, tall plant, too. Moving right along, decriminalization doesn't work on its own. The cannabis trade that used to employ poor blacks, Latinos, indigenous, and poor whites in its distribution is now starting to be monopolized by already rich landowners. And it is. And this is my fear of the legalization of weed.
And I hate when people say, and I know that you didn't do this intentionally, but when people say legalization to refer to tax and regulate.
That's and by the way, maybe we can talk about that in a second because my whole deal is I can't call it decriminalization because it takes away some of the fine, but you can't say legalize either because then they get my money, they get my tax money.
Right. Let's talk about that and your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Do you know the difference between erudite and pedantic? If you do, you're probably pedantic. But seriously, a surprising number of erudite people mispronounce erudite, which has 3 syllables, not 4. Say erudite, not erudite. Because you are judged by how you speak, you want to avoid common misstatements, especially if you're a job seeker. For instance, do you know the difference between imply and infer? Only a speaker can imply, only a listener can infer. And when you say you'll be out of pocket, do you mean out of touch? Out of pocket means you're on your own dime, not yet reimbursed. And if anyone ever asks, why do you always answer a question with a question? You should reply, do I do that? Just kidding. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
Free Talk Live.
There's been all kinds of immigrants coming from all kinds of places, living in little enclaves, speaking their native tongue. Their kids, they learn English, and then their kids, they all don't even know their native tongue.
Right.
So see,
That's what's gonna happen.
what he's explaining to you, Trish, is that this is a natural process. When you let people come here, they naturally want to learn English.
What kind of law-breaking to put our lives in danger?
What law-breaking are you talking about, Trish?
Sir, do you understand?
What law-breaking are you referring to,
people can't leave
Trish?
their dogs out because these people will eat them? Do you understand?
Outrageous.
We forgot the part. It was just lepers, and now it's murdering, raping, dog-eating lepers.
Amazing. What else can you say to this?
It's just...
this is outrageous.
Trish, you are putting the J in jingoist.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're going over 6 ideas for a cop-free world. Let's recap here. Number 1, they say unarmed mediation and intervention teams. Number 2, the decriminalization of almost every crime.
And we really need to talk about that because decriminalization and legalize can mean different things to different people.
Right. So, for instance, in Massachusetts and Vermont and Maine and a bunch of other states, but I know those 3 specifically because they are all neighbors of New Hampshire where we live. They have, quote-unquote, decriminalized possession of cannabis.
Which just lessens the fine, lessens the punishment.
They have not removed all penalties for possessing cannabis. They have just said it's no longer a criminal act. It's now a violation of statute, and you still got to give us money.
Yeah. And of course, and if you're growing it, I don't know that there are any lessening of the punishments for the people who are actually distributing it.
Well, distribution is completely different from possession.
Right.
And if you have over a certain amount, then they consider that possession with the intent to distribute, whether you were intending to distribute it or not. And that is not decriminalized in Massachusetts, Vermont, or Maine. I think the only place, and actually, no, not even in D.C., where they, via ballot initiative a couple years ago, removed some penalties to where you can now gift someone a certain amount of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are still limits on the amount of cannabis that you can be in possession of before triggering some kind of offense. We'll get back into this as well as discussion of what term should we use. Should it be legalization? Should it be decriminalization? Should we create a new word altogether?
Liberalization. Or how about just repeal all stupid statutes, all laws versus drugs? Repeal all laws.
I would support that. Let's go to the phones. Again, phone lines 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Robert calling in from Nevada. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, guys. How you doing? A slightly amusing thought came to my head when we were talking about the 6 different options for alternatives to municipal or whatever kind of police, and just suddenly the thought went through my head, a Uber or an arcade city type app for when you're in trouble.
They're actually, Robert, I'm glad you mentioned that because, believe it or not, there's an app for that. It's called Cell 411. That's CELL 411. You can go to getcell411.com to learn more about that, or find it in your Apple App Store, Google Play Store.
Right. I just downloaded that last night. So, I haven't looked at it yet, but from what because I heard about it last night when you guys were talking about the live cell video that was happening with dealing with cops.
Right. So there was former co-host of this show, Ademo Freeman, was in, or he still is in Cleveland, and he had an interaction with the police yesterday to where he was placed in the back of a police car. He says they did not put handcuffs on him, and they did not take his cell phone. They didn't even pat him down and search him. They just put him in the police car for about 15 minutes. He pulls out his cell phone and starts live streaming video on Cell 411.
Yep.
And so Ian, who was here in Keene, New Hampshire, got the alert that Ademo has had an encounter with the police and is live streaming, so Ian was watching the video.
Right. To expand upon all of that, the thought that came next to me was what happens? See, right now we live by a decentralized authority system. We live by something that, the city or whatever county or whatever state, whatever jurisdiction that we live in, that has the quote unquote, authority to be able to tell other people what to do by force. So what happens when you decentralize that authority using whatever means? And the only thing that I can think of is the gangs of New York scenario, which, they talk about it in the movie, but also it's historical fact that certain municipal services like firemen that started back in the day in New York City
would actually start fires.
They would start fires. They would also not protect your home unless you paid for them, sort of like a retainer, or let's say there was kind of gang warfare between the different territories that people lived in, and they would argue about who gets to put out the fire and collect the fee or the reward for doing it. And so that made me start thinking, what happens when competition between different authorities starts happening if we go through this? And I think, and then that made me start thinking, well, that's what the whole purpose for the centralized authority was supposed to be about. The only problem is that the scale of it has gotten so grand and so removed from
taking care of the people.
humanity.
It's become a racket. It's to benefit them, not us.
Right, exactly. So it seems like there kind of might be a cycle, a revolution going on. Maybe perhaps because there's so much change in the world that's happening via communication and the internet and whatnot. I have a feeling that maybe 50 years in the future, we might start seeing those same type of problems that happened 150 years ago start happening again because of the revolution of technology. I just thought what your thoughts might be on that.
Well, my initial thought is I think it's kind of sad that your first thought of what would happen if we decentralized, police functions, that your first thought was gangs of New York. And allow me to explain, because I've heard this, similar sort of objection, if you will, come up numerous times, to where people say, well, if we've got private security companies that are patrolling, they'll just start fights with one another. I used to work private security, and never did somebody from Brinks or ADT or Pinkerton ever come over and try to start a fight because I was, working security at a hospital and they wanted to be the security at the hospital.
But you can't deny that there are gangs in certain cities that do walk around and they behave badly.
Right, and oftentimes they have a little badge, and whenever they behave badly, there's no consequences for them.
I'm talking about the civilians, but yes, you are absolutely right that they wear that.
But also, allow me to continue with my thought here, Robert, as far as responding to your question. And yes, there might be a rogue private security guy, but that rogue private security guy will then be held personally accountable for whatever he does. Whereas now, when you've got a rogue police officer, he's not personally held responsible when he violates somebody's rights. If a private security company were to do things that police are doing right now, they would very quickly lose their contracts and nobody would hire them. Go ahead with your thought.
That's what I was going to exactly actually brought it up. Contracts. I mean, when you're a private security person and you're on a property and you have a contract with a business or even an individual or a club or a hospital, whatever it might be, you know where the territory is. You don't go down the street to someone else's house and start protecting them, unless, of course, you see it as a vigilant citizen might do that just on their own. But on the authority model of, let's say I have a contract with this household or with this apartment building or what have you, maybe the entire block, you know where you stand. But what happens in between those different property lines?
Well, obviously, you're not going to close your eyes while you're patrolling the street. That would just be completely irresponsible. I'll hold you over if you've got more on this. And Conan, I think you've got some thoughts that we'll get into, as well as your calls. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we're on Skype. Username is LRN.FM.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks on Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks on Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you're having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks on Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks on Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're examining some ideas for a possible cop-free world. There's 6 ideas. We have gone over 2 of them. Those are unarmed mediation and intervention teams Number 2 on the list is the decriminalization of almost anything that is currently illegal. And that's because a lot of things right now that are illegal have no victim. There's a lot of stuff to where society at large is deemed to be the so-called victim, and so therefore, nope, offense against the king, you owe us money, or you have to wind up going to jail because you have too much of that plant, and you lit it on fire, and you enjoyed yourself a little too much.
We can't have that. We can't have the people enjoying their own stuff.
We'll get through the rest of these, and of course, your calls, 855-450-FREE. We've got Robert in Nevada. Robert, we're bringing you back. You had asked the question about what would happen if we wind up, doing away with the centralized authorities that we have now and went to decentralized, decentralized groups, private security, if you will, to where somebody could say, you know what, I want ADT providing my service, and somebody else could say, I want Brinks, and you don't get to force the person that lives next door to you to wind up hiring Brinks or ADT, whatever your choice is. And your question was sort of twofold of how do you prevent it from becoming a Gangs of New York type scenario, and what happens if one of the neighbors doesn't have the same security company as the rest. Is that basically a fair summary of your questions?
Yeah, it pretty much is. Who gets to dish out the authority if there's no centralized authority to dish it out? And how do you handle mediation? And how do you... I during the break, I started thinking again, it really comes down to the breakdown of divvying up property. If you're on a state highway, and let's say the state highways are no longer belonging to the state and they belong to either a private company or just kind of like a commons put together by the people. And then, of course, it goes to other questions like, how do you handle the paying for it and the taxes and whatnot. And if I might,
allow me to pause right here to say that that's one of the wonderful things about true freedom and true liberty is that we don't need to have all of the answers. In a truly free society, you don't get to force other people to do things that you think are right, and they don't get to force you to do things that they think are right.
But he brings up the biggest of the what will we do without government, and that is the common lens, like the roads. How do I get from A to B? How do I get from where I live to my workplace if I don't own any of that land? My workplace, I voluntarily work there, and they want me to be there. And of course, my house, I paid for it. I live there, and it's private property. But how do I get from A to B? And
here's one of the amazing things. There are these places called businesses that they thrive on having something called customers.
Mm-hmm.
And if customers cannot get to the businesses, then the businesses are going to shut down.
Correct. And
so one thought, and that's all this is one thought on how roads would wind up being maintained, is that the businesses would work out deals with companies that know how to pave a flat surface on which that you can drive. They would work out deals to make sure that flat surfaces that you can drive on exist so that you can get to their business.
You mean kind of like they do with their parking lots already? And a lot of times,
kind of like how they do with parking lots. There are private roads all over this country right now that most people don't think of as private roads. Let me give you a hint here. Subdivisions. Those are private roads. Those are paid for by the people that live in the subdivision. They're maintained by the people that live in the subdivision. Those are not city roads. Those are not county roads. Those are private roads.
Until, of course, they lobby their local city, municipality, and beg and plead and say, hey, look, can you include our subdivision in your roadworks program? And 20 years later, their roads are being paid for by the taxpayer because they couldn't do it on their own.
That's not been my experience anywhere that I've ever lived, to where something, if it is organized as a subdivision with homeowners association fees, city will say, those are private roads, those aren't ours.
Okay. Sorry, I have thoughts that come to my head, and I just want to blur them out, but I don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead with your thoughts.
I have a side topic that is related. It's not necessarily talking about cops. I don't want to derail a conversation, but I was having an argument with a friend of mine. We love to argue about these type of things. And, he was talking about, he was a big Bernie supporter, big taxation, we need to, everything that Bernie was talking about.
Is he still a Bernie supporter?
I haven't talked to him since everything went down. This was a few months ago when we had the conversation, but it would be nice for me to ask him. Anyway, the thought I had is, for the longest time, I thought, okay, well, how is the internet handling funding? How is the internet handling taxation? And the other month, I had this. It spawned in my head. You know how crowdfunding works. You have a project, you want to fund it. The people that want to fund it will put their money in voluntarily. There's no forced taxation. I thought, what would the world be like if that's how the commons?
You would have.
It would be a lot better than it currently is, and nobody would be forced to pay for things that they don't want. Robert, thank you for the call.
You would have many, many more programs set up doing business that the people actually want and like and put more money into, because that's what crowdfunding is. If it's a bad idea, guess who's not getting money?
Well, sometimes things are good ideas, but they're not promoted that well, so they don't wind up meeting their goal on GoFundMe.
And sometimes there are really good ideas that are either scams or they fall apart because they lose the producers. They fall off somewhere, and of course they don't get their money if they are unable to give good product at the end. But I mean, all of these they're great ideas, and the people will talk with their money, and that's the best kind of business, is providing something the people want and
allowing the market,
the free market, to decide what the best course is.
Let's continue with your calls. We've got Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, there's a lot of people that like capitalism, and then they say that.
Well, what do you mean when you say capitalism? Because everybody that I know that says capitalism means something completely different to them. So what do you mean when you say capitalism?
Well, they like idolize like big business or business owners and inventors. Some people that invent something, but when it comes to
capitalism is big business and people that invent things.
Well, free market. The opportunity for you to become a millionaire when you invent something, when you have a corporation. But when it comes to red light camera company, Redflex, they're hateful that they're inventors and they're business, and they're making a lot of money off of the tickets.
Yeah, they're
what they want.
Well, that's not free market. So hold on, Sarah. Hold on. You're conflating free market with government granting a monopoly to a company. Those are two completely different things, but the red light cameras do not exist in a free market.
They usually contract out, though, and try to get the lowest bidder who provides the best product. So in a way, it uses free market bullet points, but the money...
No, there's one company that bids on the contract, and they go with that contract.
The money isn't freely given. It comes from the people, whether they want to or not. So it's not free. It's forced market.
Sarah, thank you for the call. Well, we've got other callers.
Oh, by the way,
on the line.
By the way, all right, I had to get this point out because we were talking about Gangs of New York, and I just watched it, by the way, and I forgot some points. But yeah, they were actually going around. I think there was a fire that was actually started by the firemen.
And that happens all the time.
And then there were like 3 fire departments that got there, and then they were fighting over who was going to put the fire out, and they ended up letting the building burn down. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They let the one building burn down, and they sprayed the building next to it to prevent it from going down, but they made sure they got paid before they actually started watering the house down. Because that's what it's all about.
Paid by whom?
By the owner of the house that was next to the house that was burning, because his house was the next in line.
All right,
but that's
so
not. But that's
hold
not.
on. I want to know more
point.
details on that. And your calls and thoughts, 855-450-FREE, and of course Skype. Username is LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.94 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,332 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $677. Antiwar.com reports, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, U.S. and coalition airstrikes against the northern Syrian city of Manbij have killed at least 20 people, bringing the death tolls to the nearly 2-month siege to around 100 civilians. The U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, a Kurdish-dominated faction, has been trying to take Manbij since late May and has entered the city a few times, though they've never gotten too far beyond the entrance as the Islamic State snipers quickly pin them down and the Islamic State counterattacks have repeatedly pushed them back. The value of Manbij is primarily its location along the Tigris River, where it links the Islamic State territory along the Kurdish border in Aleppo to its de facto capital city of Raqqa. If the city and the surrounding area fell, it would greatly weaken the ability of the Islamic State to move fighters between the two regions. Some 50,000 civilians are believed to be in Manbij, which has made the repeated U.S. airstrikes against the city extremely problematic. While the U.S. rarely admits to any civilian deaths, this huge toll once again reflects why the U.S.-backed forces aren't being greeted as liberators when they take a city. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports several protests took place in Cleveland on the opening day of the Republican National Convention, but they remained peaceful. A group in support of Donald Trump took over the official parade route under the banner of America First. Though the application said about 5,000 people would show up, only about 200 were at the rally Monday morning, some toting guns. Dozens of members of the group Bikers for Trump showed up on their motorcycles to provide security for the group called Citizens for Trump. At about the same time, Prophets of Rage, an anti-Trump coalition, staged an anti-poverty rally without a permit on the other side of the city. The Council on American Islamic Relations, a Muslim civil rights organization, handed out packets of Islamophobin to cure Islamophobia. Packaging, which actually contained chewing gum, says Islamophobin treats blind intolerance and unthinking bigotry and advises patients take 2 and call a Muslim in the morning. More than 1,700 women volunteered to pose nude for an anti-Trump photo shoot set up by New York-based artist Spencer Tunick. He had sought just 100 women to participate in his Everything She Says Means Everything group photographic art project. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports in a last-ditch effort to revive a White House plan to protect up to 4 million immigrants from deportation, the Obama administration on Monday asked the U.S. Supreme Court to rehear a case on which the 8-member court was split 4-4 last month. The June 23rd Supreme Court ruling left in place a lower court ruling that blocked the plan, which has never actually been in effect. In a filing, the Justice Department asked the court to take a second look at the case once it has a full complement of 9 justices. It is unclear when that would be, as the Republican-controlled U.S. Senate has declined to act on Obama's nominee, Appeals Court Justice Judge Merrick Garland. As such, even if the Supreme Court was to grant the request, it is unlikely to rule on the case until well after Obama leaves office in January. Acknowledging that the High Court rarely rehears cases, Acting Solicitor General Ian Gershengorn said the immigration case is unique because the court could not in future take another case to resolve the issue if the plan is blocked. Gershengorn said the High Court should be the final arbiter of these matters through a definitive ruling. Obama unveiled his plan in November 2014, which was quickly challenged in court by Republican-governed Texas and 25 other states that argued that Obama overstepped the powers granted to him by the U.S. Constitution by infringing upon the authority of Congress. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Clark County paramedics responded to a frantic 911 call from a nearby motel this morning, where the Lord our God, divine creator and ruler of the universe, had been found nude and unconscious following his latest suicide attempt. God, who sources say had recently grown far more depressed and withdrawn from humanity than usual, reportedly attempted to hang himself from the base of his motel showerhead after ingesting an unknown quantity of Ambien. Motel sources claim that God's room had been left in a state of disarray, and revealed that they had found a brief note written by the omnipotent deity, saying that the suicide stems from long periods of unhappiness he had been suffering in recent millennia, including the death of his only child, thousands of years of war and genocide, chronic weight gain, and the aftermath of his messy 15,088 BC divorce. Paramedics say the Supreme Being had no pulse when they arrived. The Lord's overdose comes in the wake of several widely publicized previous suicide attempts, including a 1985 incident when the Lord leapt from the Grand Canyon but changed into a bird at the last second and flew to safety.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off hour number 3, this is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype. Username is LRN.FM. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Conan.
Where is Ian, you ask? Well, Ian is in San Francisco at the D10E conference. He will be broadcasting from the D10E conference tomorrow with regular Wednesday night co-host Mark. And we tonight are talking about possibilities and ideas for a cop-free world. The article that we're going over has been posted to the Facebook page for Free Talk Live at facebook.freetalklive.com. They have 6 ideas. We have only gotten through 2 of them. The first one, unarmed mediation and intervention teams. The second idea is decriminalization of almost every crime. And no, they're not talking about decriminalizing graffiti or theft or robbery. They're talking about removing the victimless crimes that account for the majority of people that wind up getting cited or ticketed or arrested in a given year. We'll get back into the article, but first, your calls and thoughts. We've got Seth calling in from Missouri. Seth, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
All right. Well, got the tweet about what would life be like in a cop-free world. I honestly think that a lot of people out there who are against the Second Amendment and personal preservation of gun rights would quickly change their minds.
Or die off, or they'd get robbed, or some violence would be done to them or someone in their family, and then to be like, and then no one would come to bail them out, and then they would wise up and be like, hey, you know what? I don't want this to happen again. Maybe I should start.
Why
packing.
do you speculate? Why do you speculate that nobody would help somebody who is not a gun owner or does not believe necessarily?
Well, I'm
that
talking about
you have the right to own
I'm talking about the people who are anti-Second Amendment, who are probably relying on someone else to take care of their business for them. If that help didn't exist, they've probably already burned their neighbors off. I have neighbors like this, and they don't come talk to me and say, hey, could you watch my property when I'm gone? They don't expect me to help them. They're already in this mindset.
Right, because they're expecting the police to do it.
Exactly.
But let me ask this question.
Exactly.
Hold on. Let me ask this question. If you happen to have known, my next door neighbor is gone away for a week, and you see somebody that's not your neighbor and somebody that you know is not somebody that's a friend or relative of your next door neighbor snooping around, would you go over and try to shoo the strange person away, or would you say, let me call my next door neighbor, find out if he believes that I have the right to own a firearm before I go try to defend his house for him?
Well, I would go over there armed with a flashlight, and I've actually done this before. But I come from a whole different. I'm a libertarian. So,
but you're speculating
who thinks
that people,
like I do?
But you're speculating that people would, find out if the neighbor supports firearm ownership and then decide whether to defend their house or not.
Well, I would probably already know who and what they believed, but I would still do it because I'm that Samaritan type. Even if I didn't get anything out of it, he is my neighbor. You know what?
Here's the thing, Conan. Most people fundamentally are good people,
right? And they and in their bones they believe that one hand wipes the other, or one hand washes the other, because it's the golden rule, do unto others. And so if I do this man a favor, I'm not actually thinking that when it actually happens, but it works out. Karma is so nice in the end if you actually practice it, and it will benefit you in the end.
Seth, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that you're a libertarian, and a lot of
authoritarians say that I'm a cold-hearted libertarian. I don't actually think about my neighbors. I don't actually think about poor people. I don't actually think about people who are down and needy. But in reality, I do. I just don't expect a safety net to be created by us all that we're all forced to pay into.
Right.
I actually take care of business. I take care of my neighbors on my own.
The libertarians that I know are actually, nice, decent human beings that will help other people out. They just don't want anybody forced to help anybody out.
Well, at the same time, though, everybody, the thing what I'm missing from a lot of people is that it's self-protection through responsibility. A lot of people I know, rely on the police, and they say, and we've heard it from a lot of politicians and, gun control activists say, you don't need a gun because the police are there for that. So
that's like saying you don't need a fire.
You don't need a fire hydrant.
I don't need a fire extinguisher because we have the fire department.
Or you don't need home insurance because someone will bail us out if your house burns down.
Right. Who? Donald Trump? I mean.
Oh, our neighbors, the taxpayers will bail us out.
Yeah. Oh, right, of course. But I just think it's silly that people want to, rely on cops all the time to be there when the national average is 11 minutes for a cop to arrive on anything, and predominantly if there's a home invasion. Okay, I don't know if you guys know Steven Crowder. He once did a documentary on Detroit, and he posted something in the video that said, in 2013, the average time for Detroit PD to show up was 58 minutes. 58 minutes.
I'm surprised it was that low.
Yeah, I'm surprised that came out at all. If it was a dangerous part of town.
The reason I say I'm surprised it was that low is because we know that in Detroit they closed down a lot of the police departments at 5 o'clock during the week, and they're closed completely on the weekends, which means that if something happens at 5:05, well, a lot of times you're going to have to wait until 9 o'clock the next morning. Seth, thank you for the call. Let's go to Dave calling in from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, guys. I have some good and bad news from New Hampshire. There was a poll that I guess was released. I just found out about it today by WMUR.
Is this grading the governors?
And I think rating the governors, and also a poll on how people feel about marijuana legalization.
Uh-oh. Tell us the bad news.
So the good news is that, the good news. Oh, you want the bad news first?
Whatever you think will be better.
Okay, so the good news is that the 61% of New Hampshireites responding favored marijuana legalization, and I guess 32% roughly opposed it. So that's a good number.
Except that our own governor is one of that 32%, and she's just going to veto anything that goes across her desk.
Well, she's not running for re-election, so we don't have to worry about her next year.
So after November, December, she's gone?
January is when the new governor winds up getting sworn in.
Well, that's good news, I guess.
Well, I think she's a little bit like that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer says, in my mind, I'm already gone. But the bad news is the governor numbers for the Republican side. There's been this sort of repeated problem that we've had in New Hampshire that we can't seem to get any distance. We can't get a liberty-oriented governor candidate off the ground, right? I think Andrew Hemingway was unable to win the primary, and now we have Frank Edelblue is considered kind of the liberty candidate. And he looked like about 80% of people didn't even have an opinion about him yet. And his favorables were fairly low. And the other 3 or 4 candidates, most of them were doing quite a bit better than him, Gatsas and Sununu at the top.
Sununu being the son, I think, of a former governor or senator. I'm looking at his favorability rating, 28%. His unfavorability is 27%. 36% have no clue who he is. Dave, I'll hold you over in case you had more. And, of course, your thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot price. Spot price is market price, what gold or silver actually costs on the exchange. Regular people looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything. Refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot price until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must act now. Go online to realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. That's realpricesilver.com. realpricesilver.com. Limit one offer per household. 50 United States only.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Conan.
And I want you, and not just you, Conan, but you listening right now, I want you to concentrate on the position of your head and neck tonight when you go to bed. In many cases, chronic headaches, neck aches, and even back pain can be solved by the right pillow. Your spine should be straight and parallel to the floor. My Pillow is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using My Pillow for a couple of months now, and I can say without equivocation, it is the best pillow I've ever used. This thing is amazing. You can throw it in the washer, you can throw it in the dryer, and it's ready to use again. When's the last time you put your pillow in a washing machine? Can you imagine how many dust mites and other stuff is on that thing? Don't worry, I have a solution. Go to mypillow.com and buy a pillow. Don't worry if you're not happy with it. There's a 60-day money-back guarantee. The pillow itself is guaranteed for 10 years. And if you use code FTL, you'll get a second pillow absolutely free. Go to mypillow.com. Use code FTL. Get that second pillow absolutely free. And again, don't worry, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year guarantee on the pillow. Back to the phones. We've got Dave calling in from our very own New Hampshire. Dave, you're back on Free Talk Live. You were saying that there's sort of a problem in New Hampshire within the Republican Party of the pro-liberty candidates for office, such as governor and U.S. Senate, not being able to, your word was get off the ground, i.e. not able to win the party primary.
Yeah, well, I guess that's probably an exaggeration. Obviously, Andrew Hemingway got off the ground, and he was considered, I think, the main opponent of the guy that ran last time in the Republican primary. And he did get beat, but he wasn't like he was down at the bottom of the pack when he got beat. So
right, and then the pro-liberty voters and the liberty-friendly voters were then left with absolutely no option on the ballot, because the libertarians were not able to get the required number of signatures that they needed to get on the ballot, because a lot of the liberty-leaning people were saying, well, I'm voting for this guy that's a Republican in the primary, and if he wins, I don't want him to have to face an opponent, so I'll sign your petition after the primary.
What are the required signatures for Libertarian in New Hampshire? For governor?
To get a statewide minor party or independent candidate on the ballot, you need 3,000 valid signatures, evenly divided between the 2 congressional districts, which on the one hand does not sound that bad until you realize that if somebody signs one candidate's petition, they are then prohibited from signing anybody else's petition for that same office. And unlike other states, you are not allowed to walk around with a stack of voter registration cards, to where if somebody says, I don't know if I'm registered to vote, in most other states, you can say, well, fill out this form and then sign the petition. Can't do that here. And also, the petitions are due 5 weeks before the primary. So the whole I'll sign after the primary is a big problem. So this opens up the next question of, should people that support liberty wind up working within the Republican Party and continue to wind up losing in the primaries for these big races? Or should they wind up helping independent and minor party candidates actually get on the ballot, so they do have a choice other than big government candidate A and big government candidate B?
Oh, I'd absolutely say run in the major parties. I mean, even if...
And then leave people with absolutely no choice in November?
Well, in the general election, it might not be a choice, but Hemingway got, a significant percentage of the vote in the primary. If we keep pushing in that direction, eventually one of our guys, or one of the guys that we support, will win a primary and then the governorship, and that will be something of a game changer.
In what way?
Well, if we had a pro-liberty governor, things would be like they were when Benson was governor. Things got that was pretty good to have him as governor, and that was in 2003. It'd be nice to have that again, and eventually, if it's been done once, it can be done again.
All right. So, yeah, and then you had also mentioned in this poll, and I really do not want to, just sort of gloss over this. What I actually see as sort of the positives out of this poll is the overwhelming support for allowing people to actually use cannabis recreationally. Again, 61% of respondents said that they are in favor of allowing people to use cannabis recreationally in this state.
Yeah, that's a start. I think it's not surprising, though. I was a little bit more surprised by the gubernatorial numbers than I was by the marijuana numbers.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I looked at the governor number, and I was not surprised that the son of the former governor or former senator, whatever he was leading the Republican poll there. Not surprising at all to me. Dave, thanks for the call.
So, are we still talking about cop-free world?
Yeah, let's get back into that article. We were examining 6 ideas for a possible cop-free world. We only got through 2 of them.
Right, we covered unarmed mediation, intervention teams, people patrolling the streets, decriminalization of almost every crime, especially the victimless crimes.
Right, which, again, makes up a majority of the, offenses and summonses and arrest, etc. I remember a couple of years ago, I went through the numbers just in Little Keene, New Hampshire, where we live, and found that 68% of all arrests in this city were for offenses that did not have an identifiable victim.
That makes sounds about right.
Number 3 on the list.
Number 3 is restorative justice, also known as reparative or transformative justice. These models represent an alternative to courts and jails, from hippie communes to the IRA and anti-apartheid South African guerrillas to even some U.S. cities like Philadelphia's experiment with community courts, which I am not familiar with. Darryl, have you heard of that community courts?
I have not heard of the community courts, but I am familiar with the concept of restorative justice.
All right, these spaces are created where accountability is understood as a community issue, and the entire community, along with the so-called perpetrator and the victim of a given offense, try to restore and even transform everyone in the process. So it's like mediation, which we've done here in our little group.
Right. The difference, however, is, mediation is generally I have a disagreement with someone.
Right. But
restorative justice is, hey, this guy stole my car and $100 from me. I want my car back and I want my money, and I want to be compensated for the amount of time that I was without the car and the money. We'll delve into this a little bit more and continue going through the list of 6 ideas for a cop-free world and your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
The investment world isn't fair. A precious metals trader buys gold and silver at spot price. You pay his price plus fees, costs, and shipping. But today, you don't. Today, JM Bullion offers a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, no markups, no shipping. Invest in something real, not Wall Street paper. 10 ounces of silver at spot price. Visit realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. One per household, 50 United States only. realpricesilver.com.
FoodForLiberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from Numana. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, Numana is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from Numana. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $4 higher at $1,331 per ounce. Silver is 8 cents lower at $20 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $671 US. Silver has taken a dip but is holding a $20 per ounce floor. Buy on the dips. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you know that you can catch the show online at any time at freetalklive.com. But did you know that there's a new on-demand listen line? Where you can call in and not only catch Free Talk Live, but all of the live shows on the Liberty Radio Network. Call in to 641-793-9660 and never miss any of the shows on the Liberty Radio Network. Now you can listen on your schedule on your phone. Doesn't even have to be a smartphone. It can be a dumb phone. Just dial in. Again, 641-793-9660. This complements and expands your LRN talk show platform offerings. Your live shows air when you want them to. They are looping 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no download. It's not a podcast. You don't have to store anything on your phone. Don't have to download anything or store it on your computer. Just call from any phone. Doesn't have to be a smartphone. Can be a landline if you want. 641-793-9660. And again, it's all of the live shows from the Liberty Radio Network. Free Talk Live, Declare Your Independence, Freedom Fiends, The Angel Clark Show, The Rebel Love Show, Cop Block Radio, Flaming Freedom, No State Project, and more. Oh, yeah. And if you want to give feedback, let's say you're listening and you hear something that is just absolutely outlandish. And we're not live, so you can't call in to 855-450-FREE. You can press 0 and then leave a message. And then the host wind up getting an email that somebody left a message. And if it's good, we might wind up playing it on the air.
Yeah,
no guarantees.
I was about to ask you how the chump line was doing. All right, we haven't. It actually hasn't been named yet, has it?
It's not been named. And we're not calling it the chump line. We're not calling it the hate mail line.
So have there been any submissions?
There have been a few. We played one on the air Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, I'm waiting for some from Jimmy from Arizona and maybe some of the other interesting, the creative types.
Jimmy's not called the show in a long time.
Yeah, he might be man overboard. Totally.
Possibly. I don't know. Let me give you that number one more time. 641-793-9660. We're going over 6 ideas for a cop-free world. We're on item number 3 here from Rolling Stone.
Restorative justice, and this is something I haven't actually looked into, community courts. There is a link to a Philadelphia experimental community court, and it's a long PDF. I couldn't get all the way to the bottom, so I don't know how it fared, but it sounds intriguing when dealing with low crime crimes like vandalism, like
right. So right
theft.
now, if somebody vandalizes your property, you basically have 2 options.
You can either hope that the cops find the person and charge them with some sort of crime, in which case the person gets punished, but you don't wind up getting your property claimed and you don't get any sort of compensation for the damage that was done.
Right.
Or you can, if you know who did it, file a civil suit against the person, take them to civil court, and hope that the judge winds up saying, yes, this person did you wrong. They owe you money. And by the way, since you filed a lawsuit, you have to pay us money for the privilege of filing this lawsuit.
Correct.
So this concept here of like a community court with restorative justice, the police, in theory, or the prosecutor, whoever it is, would still handle the case. It would not be money out of your pocket to wind up trying to get money in return. And the judge would say, okay, Mr. Conan, you caused $1,000 worth of property damage, and your neighbor was without use of this portion of his property for X number of days, so we're calculating his suffering at X per day, so you owe him $1,000 plus X per day.
Isn't the People's Court or these silly Judge Judy types, these daytime shows, isn't it kind of a variation of a real fast fly through court system? So
the Judge Judy and the Judge Joe Brown and all of those, what they do is they find people that have filed cases in small claims court.
Right.
And then they say, oh, that sounds like something that might be interesting to our viewers. We're willing to, if you sign this document to transfer jurisdiction, we're willing to hear it on our television show and then give all parties a certain amount of money for appearing. So they'll say, like, we have a pool of $5,000. And whatever winds up being rewarded to either the plaintiff or the defendant, whoever winds up getting the ruling, that gets subtracted from the pool, and then the pool is evenly divided. So if it's $5,000 and they say, Conan, we award you $1,000.
Right.
Then the pool then becomes $4,000 that gets evenly divided between the two parties.
So it's fake.
It's not fake.
But I mean, what if an individual loses all $5,000? They say, hey, I don't agree to this. I don't want to. But they signed over the
They would have to sign over jurisdiction before it goes to the television judge show.
Right. So
you can't then say, I don't like your decision, Judge Judy, so therefore, nah.
Right.
No, you sign the agreement before you show up. And also at small claims court, where I think small claims court, the maximum is a couple thousand.
Right. Yeah, I don't watch that crap, but I was interested. Number 4, direct democracy at the community level. Reducing crime is not about social control. It's not about cops. And it's not a bait and switch with another callous institution. It's giving people a sense of purpose.
All right, hold on. Before we continue here, this seems to completely contradict their proposal number 2, which is to decriminalize almost everything that's currently illegal.
The way I see number 4 is kind of a home rule kind of a situation where the actual community is creating laws to live by.
Right, they're saying direct democracy, meaning that a majority of the people that show up on decision day wind up getting to say, no, Conan, you don't get to have a red door.
You don't get to have chickens in your yard.
You don't get to have chickens in your yard, which is completely in conflict with number 2 of removing victimless crimes.
Right, which is the problem with home rule, which, by the way, I actually support, except when I realize we probably wouldn't be able to live in Keene if home rule was to actually to go down here in New Hampshire, because we would. We with all the ordinance that would go into existence tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to live here.
It wouldn't be tomorrow. They would have to have a meeting on Thursday and then a meeting 2 weeks later to decide on what they decided on Thursday, and then there's public input.
It really depends on what kind of neighbors you have. So, yes, this does conflict with number 2, decriminalize, because when you get a bunch of yahoos who are all fearful for their lives, I mean, this is how there ought to be a law. This is the people who run for legislation. Most of them, 95% of them, are going because they believe there ought to be a law that'll make their lives simpler and make them safer. And by the way, those are the kind of politicians that I don't vote for. So yeah, giving more of the lawmaking to your neighbors, I don't know. I don't know how it would pan out. I kind of like the home rule situation where, maybe people on the other side of the river do their business differently, and we want to do it differently over here. I don't know.
Right. So there's good and bad that comes with it, and as long as it's something of you get to decide at the local level, as long as X, Y, and Z are not ever touched.
Right.
But that's generally not how they do direct democracy. We'll continue with this and your thoughts here in the closing moments. 855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live. Oh, yeah, we're on Skype. Username LRN.FM.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, the closing moments. Still time for you and your thoughts if you call in right now to 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're also on Skype. Username is LRN.FM. We're going over the list of 6 ideas, according to Rolling Stone, on how we can get rid of police and live in a police-free world. Let me go back over the ones that we have already covered. There's still a couple that we have not touched on. Number 1 is unarmed mediation and intervention teams. Number 2, they say decriminalize almost everything. Specifically, they're talking about the things that are illegal where there is no identifiable victim. They then talk about restorative justice, to where if someone steals your stuff, not only do they return the stuff, but you are then compensated for the amount of time that you were without your stuff. Number 4, they talk about direct democracy at the community level. And Conan, I think you had something else that you wanted to touch on this one.
As long as you says it kind of conflicts with number 2's decriminalize. As long as if direct democracy would work, as long as you could not start creating laws that would.
Right, so if there were limits, but then it technically would not be direct democracy if there are limits on things that you can do.
Well, maybe there's some kind of human constitution that's in place where you cannot create laws that affect my person if I was doing victimless crimes. I don't know.
Right, but again, that would not be direct democracy. That would be something else.
Right.
That would be more in line with some form of home rule, because home rule does not necessarily mean that everybody in the jurisdiction gets to vote. Could just mean that the city council gets to vote, but they make rules locally as opposed to everything being run through the state government. Let's go to number 5.
Number 5, community patrols.
And this is something that kind of got touched on with number 1.
It's very similar.
Where we talked about the intervention team.
It's kind of a neighborhood patrols. And so it's very similar to number 1. Community patrols can have dangerous racial overtones, from pogroms to the KKK to George Zimmerman. All those guys had their own patrols, didn't they? But they can also be an option that replaces police with affected community members when police are very obviously the criminals. In Mexico, where one of the world's most corrupt police forces only has credibility as a criminal syndicate, there have been armed groups of police comunitaria,
Policia Comunitaria,
and autodefensas, organized by local residents for self-defense from narco traffickers, femicide, and police. Obviously, these could become police themselves and then be subject to the same abuses, but as a temporary solution, they have been making real impact. Power corrupts, but perhaps in Mexico, withering power won't have enough time to corrupt, and I'm a big fan of the community patrols, I have to admit.
I'll just mention the headline of number 6, and then we'll go to the phones. They say, here's a crazy one, mental health care. If we have time, we'll jump into this, but your calls come first. We've got George calling in from Georgia. George, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, we've got all this unrest in the country now, and like I said, I've lived all over the country, and I grew up everywhere, okay? Well, they just had this thing on in Atlanta where all these folks are down there, and Atlanta's going pretty wacky right now, okay? Fortunately, I'm a good hour and a half away from it. but I used to live in big cities like Los Angeles and Massachusetts and Atlanta. Okay, but
So specifically, what's going on in Atlanta?
Oh, they're having big issues in town where, they're meeting with the mayors and everything else, and they got them on the news. And,
Who's meeting with the mayor? Who's meeting with the mayor?
The Black Lives Matter group right now.
Okay.
And then they've had Usher down there, and they've had some other people, and all the chiefs of police, and I understand, there's a bunch of distrust and everything else in the community, but there was a very nice black gentleman on the news the other night that said if the Black Lives people would look at it and realize that most of the killings are done on black crimes, okay? But there was this one lady that got up to talk for a long time, and they gave her about 2 or 3 minutes talking about all the injustices done to her ancestors, slavery and all that. Well, you know what? None of my family ever owned a slave, and all the people I know never owned a slave, and I've got several good black friends. They need to get over it and realize that the black people were sold into slavery by black people in Africa, different tribes, and quit blaming society in America that was something that happened 200 years ago for their problems now. They're killing each other.
I think that, yes, that statistic is absolutely true, that more black people are murdered or killed by other blacks. But I think the big situation is the incarceration rate.
Hold on, George. Hold on.
The big problem is the incarceration rate, and there does seem to be a lot more blacks who are arrested for the same exact crimes as whites. More whites deal drugs. More whites do drugs. There's more of us, but it seems like. Go ahead.
One of my sons stayed in jail for quite a while. He's a good kid.
Oh, I'm not saying it's unheard of that whites are going to actually go to jail, but it seems to me that the statistics say blacks are going to be incarcerated far more than whites, and that's what they're complaining about.
Well, yes, they are targeted, because when you go into a high crime area with low poverty rates, and that's where they focus, and then they start locking people up. They have no other option.
Right, and there's only the high crime rate because there are so many things that are illegal, to where if you have a plant that is combustible, that's not tobacco.
I totally agree with that, but they need to quit blaming, something that happened 200 years ago, and start looking at their own communities, ratting out their problems in their community, and stay home with their kids a little bit more if they can, and get them on the right track.
And one of the problems is that there's so many things that are illegal that police go in and just start arresting people, willy-nilly, and of course they're going to, target the poorer areas, and those areas are poorer because of a lot of the laws and regulations that are in place. George, thank you for the call.
And then, of course, you also have high-profile black individuals who are always digging in the mud, and they're bringing this stuff back up to the surface and reminding people of something that happened way before my time. Right. And it's not healthy to constantly be reminding people that something that our forefathers did to each other. I don't experience. I don't consider I consider myself a colorblind. Right. I've always had good relations with the people around me.
But again, the police aren't colorblind. The police, and this is a recent statistic from a place where cannabis has become taxed and regulated, but smoking in public is still illegal.
Right.
Police in Colorado are citing minorities 3-1 compared to how they're citing white people. And the population, it's not 3-1 minority population in Colorado. They are specifically targeting people that are minorities. They are doing it because they know that they can get away with it. Let's go to Jeff calling in from, I believe this is Illinois. Jeff, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you. the term home rule is a misnomer. It's actually Orwellian doublespeak. They want you to believe that it's you ruling your local area, but it's actually them ruling your home. It has to do with regional government and Metro. Like in Chicago, there's a place called Metro 1313 East 60th Street, and all this stuff is from these groups who are trying to create what is called modern feudalism by Archibald Roberts, who wrote a lot of books about. He has a committee to restore the Constitution, and all this stuff is. A lot of these terms are Orwellian doublespeak.
And would actually be Orwellian newspeak. Most people confuse doublethink with newspeak and say doublespeak.
Okay.
But the Orwellian term was actually newspeak. But I get your point, and yeah, I do agree that they use a term that they want people to think means one thing, but it means something completely different. Jeff, thank you for the call.
And that's why I said that if home rule was to come to our little town of Keene, guess who would be making all the rules and ordinances and regulations? It'd be the good old boys club.
Not us.
Not us.
It's a big club, and we ain't in it, and it's the same club they used to beat us over the head. Hey, that's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, but we are always online at freetalklive.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.